Hey everyone, I hope everybody's doing well. Just wanted to pop in, say hi to you guys. I am sitting here looking at my screens. I hope everybody's doing well out there. It is a beautiful day. At least where I'm at, the sun is shining. I know California isn't having too good of a time in places around the world with all the craziness. My heart goes out to everybody who's lost family and friends, and hope you guys are doing well. Let me go and turn down this music because I know it is blaring, and we'll get right into the charts. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please type them into the comment chat. As you guys all know, I go out and I live stream on 5 different channels with all basically including Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you also want to like and subscribe to all of those, you're more than welcome. You can catch me on all the major platforms out there. All right, guys, with all that said, let's get into the charts. One moment. Here we go. I'm going to pull this off and get right here. And here we are, guys. Here we are. Hope everybody's doing well. All right. So as you guys can see here, Bitcoin is looking pretty decent. It is moving up. We are following that 8-period moving average. Now, it's important to understand that when we are following that 8-period moving average, right, this is really important, that you need to make sure that we stay on that, right? Because at any period in time, when it comes to the market, it can turn around. And like I said, we have those higher time frame moving average above us. I'm always talking about supply and demand zones and things like that. Francis, how you doing? Not how you spell find. And did you mean to put LGBTQ? Just no, I did not. It was not supposed to be. It's supposed to be let's effing go. Laugh out loud. But I can't put the effing in it, so that's why I put. And since this is a family-friendly show, I'm just saying let's go. But thank you, Francis. I do appreciate that. And I do that purposely because what happens is when people are scrolling through the whole entire YouTube world, we see some unique things. And so one of the ways to actually bring in people is that you misspell things. It's just a little trick for the algorithms. It makes you stand out. It looks a little bit different. And so that's why we do that, or at least that's why I do that, just so that we can go through and so I can draw more people in and let them be able to see what I'm doing. If you guys, again, if you have any other questions about the market or charts, let me know. I'm willing to help and get going on it. So, and then one last thing to bring up as well. If you guys have any questions in regards to what I'm doing in relationships to I'm starting to maybe do a Discord where I can go into a little bit more details of what I do. I am stoked about that. I'm also, again, I do TA in many of the places that I visit in Telegram. And so Coin Launch Lounge is one of them, just to shout it out. Ninja Lounge is another one that I do. And in addition to that, I also work with the Midnight Show there. So if you guys want to type those guys up, I'll put that down in the notes for you guys to go check out on Telegram. But either way, thank you guys so much. And let's jump right into the charts. So you guys can see here real quick that what happened to Elon's Island and Meme Chain Capital? That is a great question. We're still working on some of that stuff. It's getting built. But one thing that we are doing is for the investors, our entire goal is to bring you guys money. So we have actually had to do a lot of restructuring because of the drop in the market and everything that happened, liquidity dried up, not the liquidity, but money coming in dried up into crypto. That was just in a nutshell. We all see that throughout the whole entire industry. So we actually had to pivot and do some other things to generate income, and we are bringing in some VCs to actually bring some of that stuff up. So it all depends on what we're able to do, but we're still pushing forward. We're still moving with things. It might change its appearance a bit just simply because we do have to pivot to the market and understand what's going on. So that's in a nutshell. Thank you, Francis. We appreciate that question. So let's jump right into the charts here real quick. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the direct core. You need to reach out to the direct core, Francis. I'm not that guy. I don't make the decisions. I'm basically the voice there that just basically kind of goes on. I basically host them MAs and AMAs and stuff like that. I don't really do any of that. I don't deal with the finances. They just tell me what they're doing. So that's it. So I don't know what to tell you, my friend. But reach out to Ralphie and reach out to also Josh. Josh is the president now, so he's another guy you want to reach out to with that moon rock. All right, so let's go ahead and go right into Bitcoin here. So as you guys can see that right now we're seeing Bitcoin starting to move up here. You can see that we found support here with the buyer wick here. Now, more importantly, also as we're moving up, you can see that we're putting in these seller wicks as we're moving up. So that is one of the things we want to pay attention to. And additionally to that, as we come back down, you will see that we want to be able to tap this. We want to see with that moving average basically a tap. We don't want to see it pierce or anything like that. We want to literally see it tap, like how we saw here, how we saw the market come up and tap that moving average on the 8, and then we saw a sell. That's what we want to see. That's how we knew it was going to go down and then continue up. That's what we want to see. If it does sell off, which we do see some seller wicks come in, I believe we're going to see a sell off right in this area with the 100 period moving average, as well as that 89 moving average. As we move up to tap that, you'll see a big seller wick, something that it kind of looks like this, but we'll see it right in these areas. If we see something like that, probably know that Bitcoin is going to most likely come down into our lower levels here. Now, most importantly to be paying attention to is if we come down to this area, it's probably going to continue down. If we stay at these levels here, well, that's a good sign, because what that's showing me is basically a higher low. And the higher low here would most likely indicate that we're going to then see another higher high up to this 18,000 mark here. So be paying attention to that, guys, because that's really important as we're looking at it from like a higher time frame. Now, if we look at the higher time frames as well, you can see on that monthly chart that right at that level we have, here we go, pardon me, actually the 20 sitting right here on the monthly. Let's go ahead and go, oh, that's the 3 month. As you guys can see, we have that 8 period sitting here. So I'm pretty sure as we start to move up, we're going to see that 8 stretch down into this level here. So it's important to be paying attention. So if we look at that weekly chart, we see the 8, or we see the 20 on the weekly sitting again at that level, that 18,000 mark. So I can see us playing off of that. I also want to point out on that weekly, we didn't really put in a buyer wick. So that's a little indication which direction we might be going. Bitcoin Bank. So this is one of those things that it's just, you know, so I'm gonna have to block somebody here real quick. So you can see here as we're moving in a direction, as we're moving up, again, there is this area here that we want to be paying attention to, okay? Just simply because we have some top moving averages here. So we did push to that 8 on the weekly. Now we're starting to move up, but that 20 as we come into it is sitting in a supply zone. Now, yes, that supply zone has been hit, okay? And it did put in a lower high here. So we very much could see it pop, come back down, put in a higher low, and then retrace down into a higher low, somewhere around in these levels, probably bouncing off that weekly 8 that we sit right here, which is roughly around where our daily 8 is at as well. So you could definitely see this ping pong in between that 18, like the 18.4 area, to that 1693 area. So it's important to be paying attention to. Next, let's go into Ethereum here real quick. Ethereum is looking pretty nice simply because not only is it pushing up, but it's up at higher levels in comparison to Bitcoin. So we can see here that it's definitely moving at a stronger rate up. We are hitting that 400 period moving average, which we did see a sell off, and so, but it was a small sell off. It wasn't. We didn't have a deep retracement, so we could very much be pushing through here. But also, let's look at the higher time frames as we move. We have that monthly A sitting right here. Okay, the monthly A is not necessarily in a monthly zone, but we are in a monthly zone right here. So we could see this come down as this pushes up to meet as price moves up. Now it's important also to note that we have also in that same area, we have the 20 period moving average on the weekly sitting here. We also have that 20 moving average on the monthly sitting right here where that 400 period moving average is sitting. So be ready for at least some type of sell-off. I do think we might see a little bit sell-off down into here, but if not, I do see us get up to this level of the 1376 area to let us know which direction we'll probably get going. Now, more importantly also is that 8-period moving average right on that weekly. The reason why that's important because that's going to be a strong retracement area, okay, that we could very much be testing. Now, in this dynamic zone, we want to see if there is a potential, as we see right here, a zone being created, which is actually right here, as we point out. This is a weekly zone, which makes it in a very strong area. 1 second. Boom. Let's hit that. Now, it's also important to know here that when price comes down into this area, you do have support in this level. So it's really important to look at and to be able to see what's actually going on here. As we see price start to sell off, it will most likely put in that lower high here, which will be in the same area that Bitcoin is moving. But also, we have that 8-period moving average trending on that daily. So make sure that you guys are paying attention to that, because that very much could come back, retrace to that 8 and continue up into our level. But until then, guys, look at these levels here. We are moving up. We could very much see it come up to that 1383 area and then see a retracement back down into lower levels. Let's go ahead and check out BNB. Now, BNB, I was actually a bit shocked that we actually saw such a rally at these levels. So this is actually pretty nice. Now, the thing is, at this level, we did see a hanging man at the top right here at an area where there is resistance. So it's a good place to sit there and see if there. I would be a little bit timid if we didn't see a sell-off there, primarily because if they're looking to bring in the novices, they're going to keep pushing it up to turn it around. So that's another area for me to sit there and gauge. You know what? I actually think they might be pushing it up for a while here. So something to be looking at here, okay? One of the things also to point out is that the idea that it is hitting off that 20-period moving average on that weekly in the same area that we have the higher time frame, while we're also having that daily zone stepping in as well. Let me move up that daily. In addition to, I want to point out that we are in between moving averages here. So we'll probably see some ping-ponging here for a while before we make the next leg up, right? If we do see a sell-off, we're going to see the sell-off down in these levels again at that 258, because that's going to create a lower high, which will then bring in sellers to drop this even further down. Now, more importantly, I always tell you guys, when the institutions are pushing it up, one of the things that they're always doing, right, is that they are literally taking the opposite end of whatever trades. So what do you want to look at? Volume here, as you guys can see on this weekly chart, we've actually been really high on the volume when it comes to the sellers. So when you look at that daily point right here, right, we're seeing volume volume, but not as much green volume. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to say that this will keep moving up. But again, the market wants to do what the market wants to do. So you just say, okay, and you follow it, right? It's the leader. So make sure you guys pay attention. This ping ponging area, if we push through, we're coming probably up to that 310 area. Okay, even here at this moment, this will still be a lower high at this level, which would then in turn push us down even further as we come down into these levels. All right, guys, let's check out XRP here real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Now, XRP is moving. Now, this is important to pay attention to. We are on the weekly here. We'll actually just jump to the monthly. XRP did put in that big, huge doji on the month. We had that huge rally. And additionally to that, you can see here we have some big buyer wicks. So we are pushing up on that weekly. Now, if we look also at the daily, we're seeing a sideways market here. And it's actually kind of pushing through this little ping pong area. So be ready for maybe a push up through to this 36 area for the 50 period moving average. If you guys can capture that. Also, down at these levels here, if it does bounce off this, be ready for it to come down into this level, this lower level here. But understand, there's a ton of buyers there. Look at these buyers, they're stepping in. So be ready for that. I do see that this potentially could be moving up. Let's go ahead and go into Litecoin. Litecoin is still a beast. It's still rallying. It's still very strong. You can see that it's moving here. We're coming up to that 400 period moving average, which is on the weekly. And we've been trending off that 8 period. But that weekly, look at this right here. This what do we want to call this? Supply zone. The supply zone here, look, it's been hit a couple times. We put in a higher low. So a lower high. So by putting in that lower high, we're most likely going to push through up into these higher levels here, which is the monthly 50 period moving average as we're playing. And as you can see here, the 50 period moving average is moving up and additionally to that. So most likely we're going to push through this. But understand that we are establishing orders here. So we very much could see a sell-off. If we start to see a sell-off, get ready for the sell back into that 74 area mark. And then after that, potentially a higher high. Next, let's go right into DOT. DOT is looking pretty dope here, primarily because if you look here, and this is looking sexy, it is actually starting to find something. The only problem is, what I always say, no buyer wicks. No buyer wicks. So let's go to that daily. That daily here is starting to find a nice little trend on that 8 period moving average as we move up. As you see here real quick, we are bouncing off that 50 period moving average, which on the weekly should be the 8. So you can see this is what we're playing with. Okay, so if we do see a sell-off here, be ready for the lower lows down in here. I said I do expect this once we push through this area. If we do, we come down to that 213, 142 area. Let's go to ADA. Now ADA here is looking actually pretty hot. I like it because it's up at that 20 period moving average, which Bitcoin has not yet got to. Right, it did put in that big seller wick, but again, we are seeing some buyer wicks come in. We are seeing major buyer volume stepping in as we move up. So I do believe we're going to get through these higher time frame pretty easy. And plus, there's a lot of good fundamental stuff with ADA that we're moving up. So that's something that I'm excited about. Now, as we move forward onto Doge, Doge is looking similar. The only issue with Doge is it is actually dealing with still fighting. Now, to point out, it is above that 20 period moving average, and we did push through. Now, we did not close. We did push through that higher time frame 20 period moving average sitting right here. So this indicates that there is some strength here up to the upside, very much so. Whereas we can get to that 8 cent mark, if not even that 8.4 mark. So be ready for that because it's something you guys can play off of. Okay, make sure you're following your trending tools. Now let's go into Tron here real quick. Tron has been one of those ones, right? Like I keep saying, be careful with this simply because what's going on to USDD. Now let's pop into USDD here real quick. USDD here, again, they still haven't been able to come back to their peg. They're consolidating here with this higher highs, with lower highs, but not higher highs. So we're putting a consolidation in period with volume dropping off. So that's not a good sign for us to sit there and look at them, especially on the weekly. If we look on that daily, it looks pretty much the same thing. So be ready. I don't know. Like we don't know, right? So if they lose their peg, it's going down. So that's why, and when I say going, I mean Tron's going down. So be able to be ready to look at that. As you see here, we put in that big seller wick off of that 20 or off of that 189 moving average. You can see here that we are above the moving averages here. But the biggest thing I want to point out is that we did have a lot of sellers stepping at these levels on the daily chart here. So it can be really interesting to see which direction they want to push. I do see more seller wicks than buyer wicks, but there is a war going on here. You can see all the buyer wicks as well as the seller wicks. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens towards the end or the start of Tron here. Let's go to Matic here real quick. Matic is looking like a lot of the other babies out there. Now, more importantly, also about Matic. Matic is above that 20 and 8 as well as the 250. So it barely has a few more other moving average before Ace got it's got a lot of distance to run. There's not much supply up in these levels as well. So it's important to be looking at this because if it cuts through that upper move, like here, I guess we could have some supply at that 92.90 area or 89 area, but it's one of those things that it's kind of iffy. You have a good run up to here. If it does get above the daily 89 and 100 period moving average as we continue, but also if it does retrace, look, you guys can see we had a perfect hit of that 8 period moving average test and then an explosion. So they could be selling off, wanting to come back, drop it, get more, and then push it back up. Nope, we do have that weekly moving average 8 sitting right here. Let's go to Shiba. Now, Shiba has been actually exploding last few days. Like I said, guys, I am a huge buyer down at that 7-6 area. I'm waiting for us to make its way down to here. You can see here that it did hit that 189, and it's showing pretty good strength at that level. So it's really interesting to see. Now we are seeing good volume step in, but I want to see volume like this. I don't want to see necessarily, but consistent greens are good. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. I am a bit bearish up at these levels here of the 1,000 mark, just simply because it's where that 200 period moving average sits, as well as a higher time frame. On a monthly time frame, you can see that that's where the 8 period moving average is sitting as well on that monthly. And then the weekly, we actually have on that weekly, we actually have the 20 sitting right here in the same direction, while it's sitting at this weekly moving average here. Now, that weekly moving average is important to pay attention to, simply because we do have the here we go, pardon me, and I'm sorry probably about my voice if it sounds weird. I've been water fasting and dry fasting periodically for the last 3 weeks, or excuse me, last week for New Year's. I do a complete cleanse for my body, and so I might sound a little bit different. So if I sound a little bit different, forgive me for the scratchy voice. So, but more importantly, as you guys can see here, we are sitting in this weekly supply zone. This is what we came off of, where we're playing off from here up, and this touched it, and then sold off. But again, it's not necessarily mean that we are going to, we aren't necessarily going to continue down. But I do think that there will be some type of there'll be some type of resistance to push it down as it's moving up. So these are just opportunities for you guys to buy. Let's go ahead right here. Boom. Actually, let me move that monthly, which is supposed to be right here. Jump back to that monthly here real quick. Yep. All right. So daily, like I was explaining earlier, we have that 400 period moving average. So be ready for some real selling kind of come in. But again, it did look twice, tapped it once, tapped it 2, right? So this is showing strength, and the institutions are playing off of that 8 period moving average on that day. Let's check out Solana now. Solana is sitting at a very, as we're moving up, look, you're seeing major volume now starting to step in with Solana on that daily move. We are playing off of that 8-period moving average, and it is starting to trend. It is above the 820 and 50 and found support on that 50, which indicates strength, a lot of strength here. So we very much could see Solana run up to probably like that 26 mark. Now let's check out that monthly and maybe see some resistance. Yep, here we go. That 26 mark here. If we check out the weekly, let's check out the weekly. We also have the weekly 20 sitting up here at that 22 mark. I don't see even though that's a strong area, and I'm not saying that it's not, but the fact is that there is no supply zone in that area as we can see so far. So it's one of those things that be paying attention to. You can see here, but we have support on that daily, on that weekly 8. So we can come back down, hit like a ping pong level. We hit the 20, then see a sell-off down at the 8, and then continue up, okay? We can see that there is major buying coming in at these levels. More importantly, also though, yeah, that big sell-off. So to me, when I see something like this, I also see it moving up to these levels here. So again, we can very much see coming in the 22, 26, 32 area. So if you are long, it's where I would be potentially taking my targets if you are day or swing trading this for a couple weeks. So yeah, guys, this is something to pay attention. Also point out, no buyer or no seller wicks until we get up into these levels right here. And even here, it's more up at this level here that you want to be paying attention, which is that 32-ish or 36, 39 area mark for Solana. All right, guys, that's it. We did 10 of the, we did the top 10 here. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you guys have any questions, concerns, you guys all know you can reach me at Moonrock, Ninja Lounge, as well as not just the Ninja Lounge, but also the Coin Launch Lounge. And I do pop in periodically into the Midnight Lounge. Thank you so much for listening to me. You guys have a blessed day. Also to point out real quick, I want to point out my friend here. She is her name, I'll just bring her over again. She makes music for us. Please check her out. It's stay.weird.ent420. She makes good music, and she makes some of the stuff for us to play. She doesn't charge us, which is pretty cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming in again. Let me sign out here real quick, and you guys have a blessed day.